Hello friends, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink with a fun little video using a bunch of Simon's Pawsitively saturated inks. So I'm starting off with my background and I have some Canson XL watercolor paper and I'm using SEAFOAM ink first and I've mushed it onto my smushing sleeve. I don't know what else to call it. This is the storage pockets from Simon that I use to, store stamps, etc. I've shown this in recent videos. It was a trick I picked up from one of Nina Marie Trapani's videos. And I like it. I don't know. There's something about this specific material and using it for this versus like the acetate or working directly on your work surface and flipping everything over, because of course a lot of people like the control, etc. So all I do is smush the ink onto the storage sleeve, spray with some water, and then just start smushing it onto your cardstock of choice, which today it is Canson XL watercolor paper again. So I did the first layer with the SEAFOAM, and then I'm going in with surf ink, which is kind of the middle ink of the Pawsitively saturated ink trios, and doing the exact same thing, just moving it around and getting all that splotchy goodness with texture and just fun, making a mess as always. So once I'm happy with how this looks, I'm going to dry it completely. And FYI, when it comes to ink smushing, if it's something you struggle with or you end up with muddy results, stick to the same colors when you're experimenting and just practicing. Use all aqua colors, use blues, or even just one color and layer it up. It's when you start using multiple colors that things can start getting a little iffy if you're not sure. But anywho, after it was dry, I took this oldie but goodie stencil. This came out years and years ago. It's still available. It's the Raindrops Stencil from Simon, and I'd sprayed the back of it with PIXIE spray, which is meant for stencils. It's removable. I just do that off camera because I can take it outside I have a cardboard box dedicated for like spray adhesives. So I've got that on my background that is dry, and then I have some transparent gloss texture paste, and I decided to try tinting it. I was just curious. I knew I could, but I was curious about how it would turn out. So I'd smushed just a little bit of Ocean Pawsitively saturated ink onto my glass mat and then placed some of that transparent gloss texture paste over it, swirled it around and mixed it up really well with my palette knife, and then applied this over the stencil. Now, you can do this with lots of pastes. I've shown many ways over the years of tinting pastes, adding things to them, usually glitters, etc. Again, you just kind of got to experiment to see what's what. So after I applied it with my palette knife, I removed the stencil, and then I'm going to add a bit of glitter. I could have mixed the glitter in with the paste, but I wanted a bit more of a subtle effect. I didn't want to create basically a glitter paste. So all I did was use coffee filters, and then I am just pinching and then lightly sprinkling a bit of unicorn confetti glitter first. That one's a little bit more chunky. And then unicorn dust glitter, which is much finer. And by pinching it like this, I'm only getting a little bit versus like I could just dump the jar, over the background into the coffee filter. I'm working over the coffee filters because I can funnel it back into the containers when I'm done. But this just keeps it lighter because I don't want like solid glitter. I just wanted a bit of shimmer. This gives me a bit more control. Yeah, that's the thought process with it. So I tapped off the excess, set that aside to dry. While that's drying, I washed my stencil and my palette knife. You always want to clean those things off, stick in a tray of water or whatever. So I washed those off, set those off to dry as well. And then I'm using the Garden Boots stamp set from Simon. It's so cute. I've had it sitting out here. I've had this card idea for a while. It was just a matter of finding the time and then finding the time to get this edited. It's just been technical difficulties. Anyway, I have both the main images in this set, and I am stamping these onto more Canson XL watercolor paper. I had used my anti-static powder tool first, and then I'm inking up these images with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and I stamped them a few times to get them stamped and get all the detail, because this has a bit of texture to this watercolor paper. And then after stamping it, I am going to heat emboss it with clear embossing powder. You can always skip this step. It always just depends on my mood. You know, there's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes I don't heat emboss, sometimes I do. Sometimes I use that Wow Matte Clear Dull embossing powder so it doesn't look embossed, but it actually is. This time I just use regular clear, so it gives me a bit of a raised edge, and it does give me a little bit of a shiny finish, which will just tie into everything on these cards. So then for the actual watercoloring, I'm using more Pawsitively saturated inks, and I am just smushing them onto my glass mat here, and I'll have links to all the colors I use. But I use Sprout and Perfection for my greens, Sunbeam for my yellow, I have Sweets for the pink, the orange is Grapefruit, and then the blue, I think is Surf. I'm honestly not sure if it was Surf or SEAFOAM, but I think it's Surf that I smushed onto there. So I have them smushed onto there, and all I'm doing is picking up the color with my little water brush and painting with them. Super simple, super easy. These colors just, I don't know, this whole thing just screamed spring to me, and these colors just made me happy. I was having fun making this. I don't know, it's such a cute, these are such cute little images. There's something about like little, rain boots or rubber boots, that sort of a thing that just, I love it. My kids love it. Who doesn't love rubber boots, especially when it actually comes time to wear them. It's cold here. We had a brief little bit where it felt more like rubber boot season, and now it's like wet, mushy snow sludge. Anyway, spring will be here soon, hopefully. So I did all my painting with just these colors. I did one layer initially. And that's all I was originally planning on doing. These, it's a smaller image. There's not a whole lot of a need for a ton of blending or anything like that. But I went in, did the layers. For the greens, I used that Sprout green. And then with the Perfection, the darker green, I actually mixed that with a bit of the blue, like the Surf Blue, just to get a more like bluey green tinge, just to kind of mix up the greenery in here. So once I've got all of it painted, and then I used the Sunbeam for the flower centers. Then I decided to add some shimmer because like full on glitter. So I used my Aqua Shimmer Glitter Gloss. Again, I've been using that in a lot of my recent videos. I just squeezed the pen right onto my glass mat there, so I've got the shimmery glittery liquid, and then I picked that up with my water brush, swirled it in with the color, and painted that. And I'll show at the end the actual shimmer, because as always you can't really see it on the video, but you also, like in pictures, even in real life, it depends on how the light hits it. So I added a second layer to everything just to give it a little bit more definition, a little more depth of color. Let everything completely dry, and then I used the coordinating wafer dies to die cut both of these. So I just taped the wafer dies in place so that the dies don't shift when I run this through my die cut machine. So got those taped, ran those through my die cut machine, and then by now my background's completely dry. This transparent gloss paste does not take very long, and since I applied it thin, it dries in 10-20 minutes, not very long at all. So it's dry, so I just use my great big surface sweep fan brush to brush off any of the loose glitter that's sitting on the background that's not adhered to that paste. And now I've got these like shiny tinted raindrops with a bit of glitter. Love it. I was going to use the whole panel, but then actually decided to die cut it with a circle. Just mix it up a little bit. So I set all that aside, and then I took one of the sentiments from that set and a scrap of white cardstock, and I'm going to use my anti-static powder tool again. I'm going to stamp the sentiment with that same VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink, and then once that's stamped, I'm also going to coat this with clear embossing powder. Two reasons for that. One, it looks nice because it gives it that shiny finish, and also when you use Nocturne ink on a smooth cardstock like this, it takes a long time to dry, which is fine, but I am the worst for smudging it and smearing it. You'll see after I've die cut it, the back of it, I had messed up. That's why it's great that cardstock has 2 sizes. So I had flipped it over, heat embossed it, and then die cut it with coordinating wafer die. And my stencil's clean. There's still PIXIE spray on the back of it. It's still, even after cleaning it, I don't scrub off the PIXIE spray because I'll just reuse it, you know, until it completely wears off. So I put the stencil on the inside of my card, and I just went over it quick with the SEAFOAM ink and a blending brush. And then on the card front, I'm going to adhere the circle that I die cut with craft tacky glue. Going to kind of hang that off the edge of my card base, and then I'll flip this over, cut off that excess there with my scissors. And then for the boots and the sentiment, I'm going to use just foam squares. So I used thin foam squares for this first one, so it has just a little bit of dimension. And then this other boot, I'm going to pop up with regular foam squares, so they're a little bit thicker. So that just pops it up a little bit more. Just subtle things like that, you know, gives it a little extra something. So same thing, pop that on with foam squares, and then the sentiment where you can see the oops on the back of it. Again, it's not going to matter when it's done because it's going to be adhered and you can't see it. So that I'm going to pop up with foam squares as well. Just going to kind of tuck it right in there amongst the greenery. And then of course I'm going to add just a little bit of extra bling. I'm going to add these Trinity Stamps Aquamarine Ripple crystals. So went through my crystals, found the sizes I wanted, and just put a few of them, not a ton, just a few, onto the card base. And then I'm going to adhere those into place with little dabs of craft tacky glue. And then once these are adhered, this card is complete. So I've just got this fun spring color theme with like shimmery, sparkly raindrops and sparkly rain boots. I'll turn the flashlight on my phone so you guys can see the glitter. It's so fun. And then I paired this card with a metallic dull pink envelope from Simon, just to, you know, tie in the shimmer. Why not? So that finished off the card for today. As always, I will have a link below the video to my blog post. I'll have a supply list, and I will link to all of the supplies I used, so you can check out that info below if you are interested. Thank you guys so much, as always, for watching, for subscribing. You can hit the bell next to the subscribe button to get notified. I also link to all my social medias underneath the videos as well, so you can follow me there because I always update when I post new content. And yeah, thank you guys so much, and I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye.